Boy, do I have a new way of looking at objects in the sky. I've put together a new process and it's got some hyper-stabilization in it and it has some tracking. So we're going to be able to see now when objects are flying through the sky, if they're making any movement changes, even if they're small changes, which would eliminate a lot of satellites out there. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm actually kind of excited to show this to everybody. So this is from Paranormal Patrick. He posted it. It appears to be an orb, or a plasmoid or a plasma, whatever it is. It's an object that's going through the sky. It's changing colors. It's really bright. And what is it, right? That's the big question. What is it? So I've pulled it down and I have it loaded in DaVinci. And I'm just going to play it. This is sped up 2x just so we can see it moving. Here we are right here. First thing we're going to do is look to see if it's going behind the clouds. And then second thing will be, is it moving in a straight line or not? It's difficult to tell because the camera is rotating as it's moving over, across the sky. So it's really hard to tell if it's actually making any, adjustments or, it's flying in a straight line or not. That's what we're going to go look at. And here's where the colors kick in. It starts having a lot of different colors show up, which is interesting because I've never seen a satellite do that. All the satellites stay at a pretty consistent white, right? Luminosity doesn't change until it gets, unless it goes behind something, or the sun has gone down far enough where, partway through the sky, it just leaves the arc of the sun and it disappears. So let's look at right here. We're going to find out if this is behind the clouds or not, and that'll give us an idea of altitude. So here's a waveform, and this object right here is depicted right here in the waveform. Maybe I could make it a little bit brighter. Can I? Yes. So it's depicted right here, and that's luminosity. I have it set to basically percentage. 100% is full luminosity, so it's 255 on red, green, blue, whatever it is. So it's just numerical values for light. And obviously down here is no light. So let's let it play. And it's starting between 60 and 70% illuminated as far as saturation of, luminosity. And it's starting to go behind the clouds now. And you can see we're dropping to 50, we're down to 40, we're down to 30. So this is telling us empirically that this is going behind the clouds. So whatever the clouds were that day, whatever height they were, this is above it. And that's a good data point. So it doesn't eliminate satellite, and it kind of pushes us away from drone because, it's above the clouds. Sometimes clouds are low, but, to have a cloud that's 400 feet is at night, I think is pretty rare. It happens, but that's usually in the morning when you get the temperature change. All right, so now we're flying over. I have the zoom in 1400%, so we're basically as tight as we could possibly get. I can't really get too much tighter. There's details aren't really going to be there just because it's so zoomed in, but you can see it's a circle. Is it a cube and a sphere? You can't see the details well enough to be able to tell if it is. So, but let's go to this. All right, now this is what I'm excited about. This new process is pretty good. It's a hyper-stabilized tracking process. And I'm just going to play it. So you can see we are completely locked in the background. And only the object is drawing its path through the sky. So it's being tracked. So it's leaving a trace. And while it's doing that, we could see how it's moving. Now, the jitters that we're seeing here are from the camera moving because this is, pretty far out and it's flickering in the sky. So we're getting some of that. Also, some of the jitters are going to be just the camera doing its thing, trying to stabilize and everything like that. But is this a straight line? It is not. You can see it starts out pretty straight, and then there's this little arc right here, and then it straightens back out and then continues moving, and then there's another little turn right here. So this is not moving in a straight line in the sky. That's a really big data point. So that's saying that it's not a satellite. Okay. I don't think satellites could turn that fast. Usually they use ion thrusters, and it's like you're applying grams of force to your satellite, so it's not going to be able to turn at any kind of high speed. Maybe the military satellites have some ability to go much faster, but I don't know of those. But I'm going to say this turned, right? I mean, based off of what we see right here, it's turning. Now, let's get into where it starts putting on the show, right? When it gets out of the clouds, you can start seeing a little bit better. And I just wanted to see how the colors were changing, right? Because this is pretty significant. We're going to go to the vector scope now. I'll pop it out. And we're going to just let it play. So right here is the color wheel. I've brought this up before. So north is basically red, or 0 degrees or 360 degrees up. Then you go through magenta at about 35 degrees, at 90 degrees or 30 degrees. 90 degrees would be blue over here. Cyan is down here. Green is between cyan and yellow. So that's 270 degrees to the west. So that's yellow. And then we get up to red. So as this thing is moving through the sky, it is changing all sorts of colors. Initially, it's in the red spectrum, and then it starts emitting more of the green, cyan, and blue. So the red's coming down. It's still popping every once in a while. But now it's starting to make the turn. Now we're looking at green. Still hitting the reds. It's blue shifting. And now here's one of the stranger things on this object. It's starting off on center, right? So it's a pretty balanced white light, which then starts popping off in, here's a cyan, right? Spending some time down here in the greens and the cyans. Now it's over in the blue, reds, hits the magentas, hits the blues, starts shifting a little bit towards the red. But then as it goes further away, we start getting more blue shifted. See, it's actually moving off center. So the actual color of it is changing towards the blue side of the frequency of light. And you can see it's really moving over there. I mean, that's really moving over there. So as it's putting distance between us and it's going more to the blue scale. I don't know what that means. All I can just say is that it's changing. And I looked at a couple of different satellites, and I haven't seen that behavior on them. Like right here, you can see it's up in the red. I mean, we're a little high off center, so we're in the red. And then as you get further away, we're getting towards the blues. I don't know what that means, because this is the first time I've seen that. So this is a really interesting object. It has some properties that I've not seen before. Yeah. I don't think it's a satellite. I don't think it's a drone. It didn't have any sound. I don't know what this is. This is something that's, I don't know if exotic is the right word, but this is something very different. It's one to put on the books. That's for sure.